On the evening of June the 14th, 2016, what began as a peaceful family holiday at Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida, turned into a heartbreaking national tragedy. At Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa, 2-year-old Lane Thomas Graves was playing near the edge of a man-made lagoon when, in a matter of seconds, an alligator emerged from the water and pulled him under. Despite the desperate attempts of his parents to save him, Lane disappeared beneath the surface, never to be seen alive again. This incident shocked the country and raised serious questions about the unpredictable dangers that can lurk even in the most carefully curated environments. But what happened that day? Let's talk about it. This is the story of the death of Lane Thomas Graves. Lane Thomas Graves was just 2 years old at the time of his death. Described by his parents Matt and Melissa Graves as a bright, joyful and loving little boy, Lane was from Elkhorn, Nebraska. He was a healthy, happy toddler who had just started showing his personality, curious, sweet-natured and full of life. The Graves family had travelled to Florida for a vacation, like so many other families, to experience the magic of Walt Disney World. They were staying at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa, one of the most luxurious hotels on Disney property. Positioned on the edge of the Seven Seas Lagoon, the Grand Floridian is known for its Victorian-style architecture, fine dining in close proximity to the Magic Kingdom. The resort features white sandy beaches along the edge of the lagoon, inviting areas where guests often relax, take photos, or enjoy the evening's fireworks. At the time, signs near the lagoon read no swimming, but there were no warnings specifically about alligators or wildlife in the area. The beach areas were not fenced off, and the calm appearance of the water gave no indication of hidden danger. For the Graves family, and many others, it seemed like a safe, peaceful environment. It was around 8:30 p.m. on June the 14th, 2016. The Graves had been at an outdoor movie night on the lawn of the hotel. They made their way down to the beach area that bordered the Seven Seas Lagoon, a man-made lake that sits between the resort and Magic Kingdom. It was warm and calm, and children were playing in the sand. Lane, just 2 years old, was walking near the shoreline, splashing his feet in the shallow water. His mother and father were nearby, keeping a close eye on their 2 children. Suddenly and without warning, an alligator estimated to be between 6 and 7 feet long lunged from the lagoon and grabbed Lane. His father, Matt Graves, immediately rushed into the water and tried to wrestle the animal off his son. Despite the desperate efforts, he was unable to free Lane from the gator's grip. The animal disappeared back into the lagoon, dragging the toddler under the surface. Chaos erupted on the beach. Resort security and emergency responders were called immediately, and search efforts began almost instantly. The lake was quickly cordoned off, and specialised teams including divers and wildlife officers worked through the night using sonar and search equipment. Nearby beaches and marinas were cleared, and guests were asked to remain indoors. For 16 hours, crews combed the lagoon. Tragically, the following afternoon, Lane's body was found intact, submerged in the water not far from where he had been taken. Authorities confirmed that he had died from drowning and traumatic injuries, consistent with an alligator attack. In the days that followed, wildlife officers captured and euthanized several alligators from the Seven Seas Lagoon for forensic examination. Although officials were unable to definitively identify which alligator had taken Lane, suggested it was likely one of 2 female alligators found near the scene. No remains were found inside any of the bodies, but bite marks and proximity were consistent with the attack. A further 250 alligators would later be removed. Attention quickly turned to Disney and whether enough had been done to protect guests. At the time of the incident, there were no signs specifically warning about alligators, despite the lagoon being a known habitat for them. Florida, with its warm climate and abundant waterways, is home to more than 1 million alligators. It is not uncommon for them to enter man-made bodies of water like golf course pools or resort lagoons. Some guests later came forward claiming they had seen gators in the area earlier in the day and believed warnings should have been posted. In a public statement shortly after the incident, the Walt Disney World president said, There are no words to convey the profound sorrow we feel for the family and their unimaginable loss. We are devastated, and our hearts go out to them during this time of grief. The Graves family released a statement saying, "Melissa and I are broken. We will solely focus on the future of our family and the healing of our hearts." Following the tragedy, Disney installed barriers and ropes along the beaches of all its resorts bordering the water. They also added clear signage warnings of the presence of wildlife, including alligators and snakes. In addition, the company implemented more aggressive wildlife monitoring and removal programs in collaboration with the FWC. The investigation ultimately concluded that this was a rare and unprovoked predatory attack. Lane had not been feeding the animals, and there was no indication of negligence on the park or the parents. Instead, it was a devastating convergence of circumstance. Natural wildlife intersecting with human-designed spaces in a moment that forever altered a family and led to a permanent policy change across Disney properties. In the wake of the Lane Thomas Graves death, there was no public lawsuit filed against Disney by his parents Matt and Melissa. Many people, including legal experts and journalists, noted the absence of litigation and wondered if a private settlement had been reached behind closed doors. While official details remain sealed, certain court records and actions suggest a financial agreement may have been made. Florida wrongful death attorneys have speculated that Disney may have privately settled with the Graves family for a significant amount, possibly in the range of $10 million or more. Rather than seek retribution, Matt and Melissa Graves turned their grief into a force for good by establishing the Lane Thomas Foundation. The organization, based in Omaha, Nebraska, provides financial and emotional support to families of children in need of life-saving organ transplants. Since being founded, the foundation has helped dozens of families in crisis and continues to be a beacon of hope for those navigating the darkest of times. Lane Graves was laid to rest during a private funeral in Elkhorn, his hometown. The service was intimate, surrounded by family and close friends who gathered to honour the short but meaningful life of a little boy who left a lasting impact on so many. A year later, on what would have been his 3rd birthday, hundreds came together again for a public memorial held at Elkhorn South High School. Blue balloons were released into the sky, and attendees wore shirts printed with messages of love and remembrance. The Graves family handed out M&M cookies, which were Lane's favourite, and silver crosses with blue ribbons, attached to cards with prayers and memories. Speaking to the crowd, Melissa said, "You'll always be Mummy's loving, sweet baby boy. We miss you, buddy, and we miss those hugs and kisses." Matt echoed her words, recalling the joy Lane brought into their lives and expressing gratitude for the overwhelming support they had received from the community. In September 2018, Matt and Melissa Graves shared a deeply personal and hopeful announcement: the birth of their son, Christian Lane Graves. In a public statement, they said, "Although we know the pain of losing Lane will never go away, we feel God has blessed our family with a precious miracle of life. May Lane Graves rest in peace." As always, this is not an AI channel, I do everything myself, and if you appreciate my work, subscribe, and if you want to go the extra step to support the channel, maybe consider becoming a member. I have left a link to the foundation below, so make sure to go and check that out. Let me know what you thought about this case in the comments below, and as always, thank you for watching.